Chapter 25. Mirage. 4 hours earlier. How could she have let herself be bested by a boy? That was her first thought as Syndrome turned her immobile on her, picking her up like she was a pest and shooting her through the glass doors with the intention of killing her. This is what she got for taking a stupid temp job that had nothing to do with acting and everything to do with an egomaniac who forgot to pay overtime and expected her to deal in villain work. She'd missed appointments with Monique, stopped talking to friends, worked 80 hours over the last few days, all because a guy she'd gone on a few half-decent dates with sweet-talked her into kidnapping a trio of super kids with the promise of triple pay. What had she been thinking? This twerp needs to go, she thought, but instead it was her going out the window, hurtling towards the edge of a patio where a 20-foot drop awaited her. She was sure she was about to die, or at least wind up in traction for years, losing all good roles that could possibly come to her, all because she'd let this jerk gamble her life instead of his own. Money makes people do stupid things, she thought, as she flew through the air and waited for the world to go dark. Instead, she hit a beach umbrella she'd forgotten to take down the night before and fell into the infinity pool. Surprised, she rose to the surface, sure the guards were going to haul her away or zap her again. Instead, no one came. As she caught her breath and tried to ignore the pain in her leg, she listened to what was still going on inside the house. Syndrome was busy monologuing to poor Violet about how she deserved to lose her powers and how he'd finish what he started with her parents and take everything they cared about. Then he used the nullifier. The thing actually worked on Violet, reducing the kid to a puddle of her former self. All Mirage could do was listen. Dash was yelling from his room. The baby was crying. All he did was cry, really, and she was alive to hear it all. Sin had no clue. God, the man had such a Napoleon complex. That's when Mirage came up with a plan. She didn't consider herself a vengeful person, but Sin deserved to pay for what he'd done. She'd wasted a year of good acting experience at this bonkers job and swayed by a few pricey dinners. On top of that, he'd lied to her. Lied. He'd told her the kid's parents had died, and she'd believed him. Monique had taught her better than that. How could she not have seen through his ruse, or questioned the parts of his story that didn't add up? She felt like a fool. Even Violet had put 2 and 2 together after visiting Mastermind. Mirage wasn't sure how long she floated in that pool, clinging to the edge, feeling her body turn blue, but she waited till the house grew quiet. She figured most of the workforce was in the process of packing up equipment and transporting it to Nigel's for Phase 2 of Sin's world domination. Or should she call it what it really was, Mr. Incredible Domination? At that thought, she sprang into action, full of rage, grabbing one of the electrified sticks from a charging port on the porch, and stomping into the living room. She knocked out one guard, then 3 more before anyone could report in. Then she used this sleep spray Syndrome created to make sure they stayed asleep for hours. She carried Violet to a bedroom, made sure her vitals were strong, and left her with the means to get out of the house when she awoke. She might not awake till morning, but hopefully she knew how to use a phone. Poor girl. She'd been duped, and Mirage had played a huge role in that. She didn't feel guilty about much, but messing with a child who was a line she hadn't wanted to cross. The girl had lost her powers, and it was partially her fault. It made her wonder. Maybe she had one more part to play before she ditched this gig. I'm Mirage, she thought, and I'm the vengeful ex-girlfriend hell-bent on making her dweeb boyfriend feel as small as his actual stature. The guy definitely wore lifts in those ridiculous boots of his. This was a role she would relish, her last as part of Syndrome Industries. Her confidence soared at the thought. I quit, she told herself, shouting it to the quiet house. I quit, she said again, making her way downstairs and knocking out several other guards on her way to one of the cars and spraying sleep spray on them. She scrawled a note for Violet and punched in a password that would allow Violet to take the car wherever she wanted to go. She turned off the homing device on the vehicle so if Syndrome learned Violet was missing, he couldn't track the car. "I quit," she said as she jumped into her work car. She found the coordinates she'd used only the night before. A plan was forming, and it was wickedly good. What she had in mind was risky, but as long as Mastermind didn't kill her on sight, Mirage had a feeling she would see reason. "I quit," Mirage said once more for a good measure. She was done taking orders from that tyrant, and she was going to see to it that Syndrome's dreams went up in flames. Vengeful ex-girlfriend was going to be her greatest role yet.